Hey there gamers, DreamcastGuy here, and today we're talking about some very surprising breaking news, which is that Fable just got delayed to 2026, and a lot of the internet is saying, this game is screwed, this game is dead, this game is fake, because it is kind of weird to think about that. Fable is a giant brand. It's one of the original RPGs that kind of launched the OG Xbox. It was great on the Xbox 360, but with this new game, we've seen almost no trailers, no environmental screenshots, no character makers, no combat. We basically have one CG trailer and nothing else. And now, out of nowhere, a year delay. Let's talk about it because some people are saying this is extremely bad. Some people are trying to blame this on Avowed. And some people are saying this is probably good news. But let's get into it. Hi, hope you're having a great day. And if you could, please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, let's start with this. So this literally came out just 7 minutes ago, which is that Xbox has the official Xbox podcast. It's basically like the PR mouthpiece for Microsoft gaming. It's where they have like developer interviews, or this when they talk about release dates, or when they officially announced games coming to PlayStation, and they said this. While I know it's maybe not the news that people want to hear, what I want to assure people is that it's definitely worth the wait. I have unequivocal confidence in the Playground team. So, I have noticed this sentiment a lot. As a sports fan, the vote of confidence worries me more than the delay itself. So, a lot of times in the gaming industry, there are games that get delayed or even canceled pretty much out of nowhere. Even if your game is a huge success or popular, if it's just not fitting whatever internal metrics, it can get canned. I mean, even Microsoft has previously done this with Fable. They had that game, I can't even remember what it's called now, Fable Legends? Didn't they have like a big online multiplayer Fable game that was like 99% done, and they just canned it because they thought it wouldn't be good enough? So this is weird, but this is the part that I feel like a lot of people are kind of reaching towards, which is saying, after the disaster that was Avowed, I'm sure Fable is getting major reworks. Now, I am a fan of Avowed. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I think it's a game that does, in my opinion, have very fun combat. I love the colorful world. I love a lot of stuff about it, but it's definitely a AA game pretending to be a AAA game. You know, a 16-hour RPG for a $70 price tag. Clearly, not a lot of people are super on board with that, but I feel like anytime Microsoft comes out and says, we promise that we're happy with the sales of a game, that's usually a bad sign. I mean, they literally said this about Hi-Fi Rush about 60 days before they shut the studio down. So if they're like, we're happy with this, don't believe that. I mean, they'll say that about anything, right? So a lot of people are like, okay, this is probably not good. Yeah, Hi-Fi Rush. I played this game sober and shortly after refunded it. Yeah, so I think that right now there is probably a little bit of panic about how good Fable has to be. Some leakers have actually officially on the record stated that this game is super over budget. They're spending, a much more than a typical Xbox game because they want this to be their big AAA photorealistic fun game that you can put in movie trailers, the kind of thing where it makes casual people want to get Game Pass or buy it on PlayStation. In fact, there's a lot of talks about the fact that they're working on putting this on PlayStation day and date because they really need to make that money back. So I do wonder if maybe Avowed, as good as it was, as high as the review scores were, maybe Avowed in some way just did not sell enough. And they were like, look, man, we have to push this back. We need to make sure that we have a longer cycle to hype it, to talk about it, to confirm a release date, and make sure it is as perfect as possible. Because if this isn't, one of the top award-winning Xbox games, we're going to have to start shutting studios down. And if they shut down Playground, they're going to piss off a lot of Xbox fans. Now, on the other side of the coin, there is a chance they push this out just because they're trying not to overcrowd themselves. This has happened in the past. I think Electronic Arts has talked about the fact that EA owns so many studios that a lot of times they end up kind of tripping over their own toes, where they release back to back to back to back games, similar games. Oh, we released Titanfall right next to Battlefield games, so now Titanfall bombed, but we funded both these games, so now one of them's a failure, one of them's a success. That's not good enough. I do think there is a chance that maybe they're just saying, well, we expect Doom to take over the entire internet in May. South of Midnight coming out here in a couple weeks. I feel like I'm not seeing anybody really talk about South of Midnight, but Expedition 33, which, isn't really a first-party game, but Ninja Gaiden 4 is being partially funded by Xbox. There is a lot of stuff that is coming to Xbox Play Anywhere and Xbox Game Pass. Maybe they just did some sort of internal talk. Maybe they did just do some internal math and say, we can afford to not have just this one game. We can push only Fable to next year and give everything else a better chance to breathe rather than crowding ourselves out. Especially when I look at things like this. This is currently the slate of next big upcoming Xbox games as of last year, which was Fable, South of Midnight, Perfect Dark, Doom the Dark Ages, State of Decay 3, Black Ops 6, Avowed, Indiana Jones, Gears of War E-Day. So when I look at this, I think Gears of War is going to be a big deal. I do think that Doom is going to be a big deal. And Black Ops 6 obviously was a big deal. A lot of this other stuff I feel like is not going to be perhaps as big in AAA and as attention-getting as they're trying to achieve. If they said, okay, let's make sure that South of Midnight has a chance to have headlines and have attention and stuff. If we're trying to release Fable right next to a game like South of Midnight, it's going to sell 0 copies. People are going to go, okay, if my chance is to play a new Fable or to play a new IP, even if it turns out to be a great IP, a lot of times people go for the classics. Basically, I am in the camp of the people that think this is a bad sign. If we had a chance to see more of it, I feel like I'd be more confident. I mean, when they delayed the Silent Hill 2 remake, the other video I just did today was about the Silent Hill 3 remake, which apparently is in production. If you see a game and then it gets delayed, I feel like it gives you a chance to kind of trust the process, or at least kind of meta game it out in your head as to how good or bad it could go. But the fact that we've seen almost nothing of Fable, the one teaser trailer was not really well received, and now they're saying, no, it'll be okay in 2026. My internal alarm bells are definitely going off. But what do you guys feel about Fable? How do you feel about Fable now? And how are you feeling about it in 2026? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And additionally, did you get Avowed? Are you actually excited for Avowed? And does Avowed, positive or negative, change how you feel about Fable? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and please keep dreaming. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.